clip, Jordan Peterson is teaching us how to think. Now, I found it really fascinating to try to think in the way that Jordan Peterson teaches us to think. One of the main things that I took away from this video is Jordan Peterson really highlights the intents, our purposes, our motives, and our emotions in how we think. Our emotions affect our cerebral processes. And so that's very insightful. Let's watch what he has to say, and please be sure to like and subscribe and comment below.
Let me ask you about thinking in general. This is something maybe that you and Jim Keller think a lot about, is thinking how to think. How do you think through an idea?
Well, first of all, I think, okay, well, what bugs you? What's bugging you? This is such a cool thing. It's like, where's my destiny? Well, what bothers you? Well, that's where your destiny is. Your destiny is to be found in what bothers you. Why do those things bother you? There's a lot of things you could be bothered by, but some things grip you. They bug you, and they might make you resentful and bitter. They're your things, man. They've got you. I look for a question that I would like the answer to, that I don't, and I would really like the answer to it, so I don't assume I already have the answer, because I would actually really like to have the answer. So if I could get a better answer, great. And so that's the first thing. And that's like a prayer. It's like, okay, here's a mystery. I would like to delve into it further. Well, so that's humility. It's like, here's a mystery, which means I don't know. I would like to delve into it further, which means I don't know enough already. And then comes the revelation. It's like, well, what's a revelation? Well, if you ask yourself a question, it's a real question. Do you get an answer or not? And the answer is, well, yeah, thoughts start to appear in your head. So
From somewhere.
That's right, from somewhere.
Where do they come from? Do you have a sense?
Depends on what you're aiming at.
Depends on the question.
No, it does to some degree. It depends on your intent. So imagine that your intent is to make things better. Then maybe they come from the place that's designed to make things better. Maybe your intent is to make things worse. Then they come from hell. And you think, not really. It's like, you're so sure about that, are you?
Is your intent conscious? Like, are you able to introspect
it's conscious and habitual, right? Because as you practice something consciously, it becomes habitual. But it's conscious. It's like when I sit down before I do a lecture, I think, okay, what's the goal here? To do the best job I can. To what end? Well, people are coming here not for political issues. They're coming here because they're trying to make their lives better. Okay, so what are we doing? We're conducting a joint investigation into the nature of that which makes life better. Okay, what's my role? To do as good a job about that as possible. What state of mind do I have to be in? Am I annoyed about the theater? Or am I clued in and thrilled that 4,000 people have showed up at substantial expense and trouble to come and listen to me talk? And if I'm not in that state of mind, I think, well, maybe I need something to eat, or maybe I need to talk to someone, because that ingratitude is no place to start. It's like, I should be thrilled to be there, obviously. And so that orientation has to be there. And then is it conscious? All this is conscious. What am I serving? The highest good I can conceptualize. What is that? I have some sense, but I don't know it in the final analysis, which is why the investigation is being conducted. Who's doing it? Me, whoever I'm communing with, and the audience. And so I try to get myself, and I chase everybody away for that. It's like, I have to do that by myself.
Are you writing stuff down?
Yes, at that point, I just make point notes, and it's usually about maybe 30 notes. But then on stage, I never refer to them, and I often don't even use the structure that I laid out.
Kind of an interesting thing. From where do powerful phrases come from? Do you try to encapsulate an idea into a sentence or two?
Well, when I talk, and I've practiced this consciously since 1985, I try to feel and see if the words are stepping stones or foundation stones, right? It's like, is this solid? Is this word solid? Is this phrase solid? Is this sentence solid? Like, it's a real sense of fundamental foundation under each word. And I suppose people ask me if I pray, and I would say, I pray before every word. Well, when you're asking questions, like, you're very clear headed and present in your ability to ask questions and inquire. So how do you do that?
So first of all, I'm worried that my mind easily gets trapped when I step on a word and I know it's unstable. You kind of realize that you don't really know the definitions of many words you use, and that can be debilitating. So I kind of try to be more carefree about the words I use, because otherwise you get trapped.
You don't want to be obsessional.
Like literally, my mind halfway through the sentence will think, well, what does the word sentence mean?
Right. Well, neurologically.
And then everything else just explodes.
Yeah.
Your big picture idea explodes and you lost yourself in the minutia.
Well, neurologically, there's a production center and an editing center. And those can be separately affected by strokes. And so often when people are writing or talking, they try to activate both at the same time. And that's so people will try to write an essay and get every sentence right in the first draft. That's a big mistake. And so then you might say, well, how can you be careful with your words but carefree? And the answer is orient yourself properly, right? While in the conversation we're having, you have an orientation structure. You want to be prepared. You want to be attentive. Then you want to have an interesting conversation. And you want to have the kind of interesting conversation that other people want to listen to that will be good for them in some manner. Okay, so that's a pretty good frame. And then you kind of scour your heart and you think, is that really what you want? Are you after fame? Are you after notoriety? Are you after money? I'm not saying any of those things are necessarily bad, but they're not optimal, especially if you're not willing to admit them, right? And so they can contaminate you. So you want to be decontaminated. So you have the right trip, let's say. And so you have to put yourself, that's a meditative practice. You have to put yourself in the right receptive position with the right goal in mind. Then you can, and I think you can get better and better at this, then you can trust what's going to happen.